In this video, I'm going to walk through 5 common sport climbing anchors that I've seen used outdoors, and I've used a lot of these. And I'm going to talk about kind of what scenarios I think they're optimal in and what I would recommend based on certain fixed gear orientation. So we're going to get right into it. The first one is the most common thing that's used in sport climbing: 2 opposite and opposed quick draws. So the way to set this up properly would be ideally not on the bolt if there's fixed gear below it, but on one of the pieces of fixed gear, whether that's on a quick link, or in this case, I would just clip it to the rappel rings. Or if it's chains like this, I try and leave the chains free if they're close enough and just clip it onto the quick links, because when it comes time to clean, I find it's just easier this way. Important thing that I didn't know when I first started was you want these quick draws, the gates to be facing out. The words they use are opposite and opposed, but really what that means is they're facing away from the middle of the anchor, and when they're open, it looks like a fish hook. And the reason for that, if you have them facing the same direction, the rope somehow gets jumbled up this way, it can unclip from both at the same time. So really, really rare instance. It doesn't take too much imagination. Something happening where the rope gets pushed up in this way and then comes down and unclips both of these at once. We try and make sure the gates are facing away from each other. And when they're opened up, it looks like a fish hook. You'll see that as well when we use lockers later on. But this is the correct way to set this up. This isn't a very versatile anchor. It's very easy to come into scenarios where the rock wasn't set up nice enough for the bolts to be completely parallel. And if this is all you know, I'm going to show you why there's limits to this. But honestly, if it's just you and a couple buddies climbing, I'm cool with a quick draw anchor personally for a lot of scenarios, like 90% of scenarios. But I'm going to show you where it doesn't work. So in a scenario like this where the bolts are offset, and sometimes there's no standard for how they're offset or how they're set up. It's very dependent on the rock around, because the root setter obviously trying to choose rock that's strong for them to drill into, and I'm not a root setter, so I don't know exactly all the things they think about, but bolts are not always completely side by side. So in this scenario, you can imagine if all I know is how to use 2 quick draws, this isn't equalized at all, right? And this one is so loose in the bottom, it's like really easy to jumble around and probably get unclipped. So I don't like this setup. I wouldn't use this at all. In this scenario, you probably want to utilize a different anchor, and we're going to talk about that now.